After many trials and tribulations, we have made it to the second section of the game, the Old Town. And after having not played the game for over 3 months, I've forgotten how to walk, do sick parkour, and absolutely anything else in the game. I sit here trying to hook onto this pole for the better part of an hour before realising that I can just check my fucking controls. So after my small individual seminar of hatred and anger towards myself, I find myself flying through the city and find some of what I think are Rice's men getting attacked. So I do the only thing I can think of and point and laugh, before realising that they're allies and I'm watching them get fucking pummeled to death. With that little oopsie whoopsie fucky wucky realised just a tad too late, I rain hell on the big fella from the safety of this roof and watch as he aggressively stands there with what I can assume to be a block of cheese between his ears, as he does absolutely nothing to defend himself from my onslaught of bullets. With Fat Man McGee permanently eating the concrete, I make my way to Troy, the character we've been contacting via radio for a better part of the game. We meet this guy with a fucking sick mohawk, and then we finally meet Troy, aka Two-Face's sister, and she gets us into contact with my future wife, Jade. And we finally tell her that we're with the GRE. I think she takes it pretty well.
Bastard! You bastard!
Jade!
I know that the GRE is planning to bomb the quarantine zone in the coming hours, but Savvy Mohawk Bloke has a mission for us. Some of Rice's men have come over to the Old Town and are terrorising everyone. I don't know how that's possible, since they have an accumulative 8 brain cells between them all. So in a display of my intelligence, I show Savvy who he's asking to take on Rice's men. On my way there, we get a call from Dawood, and he's been bitten. Unlucky, mate. If you weren't such a flog, maybe the zombies would have just let you go. I find Rice's outpost and bring a sword to a gunfight, resulting in Crane eating one too many bullets for his soft femboy body to handle. We come back, and I have a pretty simple plan in mind. Gun. We head into the building, and these two blokes hear me coming, and when they see me, instead of shooting, they sit there in awe of Crane's 12-inch long outline in his pants, and watch as bullets hit both of their foreheads. I clear through the area like a fat kid at a candy store, and I find a knife that looks pretty sick. So I empty my prison wallet for it, and keep going through the building. Rice's beta males are no match for Crane's alpha double barrel, and the area is secured. I decide that it might be time to help Dawood, as it's just down the road. So as I walk in, Dawood is already zombified, and he launches at me like your mum does after a couple of wines. I reject his attempt at a love bite though, and make his head a wall painting. With that fuckhead finally removed from the gene pool, I go and talk to his little crotch goblin and tell Troy to pick the little fella up and take him to his mum. With my good deed for the decade done, I find a nearby safe house and go to claim it, before a human claymore shows up and ruins my entire evening. I decide it's not worth going back to, and I try to head to the university, but I'm attacked by an infected who gets absolutely shit-whipped through this roof, and then I watch as this bloke takes a dive with no thought of his own safety. I make it to the university and start yelling as soon as I'm inside, as any normal rational person would. And then, also as any normal rational person would, I turn their music off. This bloke tells us that we just missed Jade, and he doesn't know where she went. He also tells us that their gunsmith is missing, and that we have to go find him. So, I find the next Picasso instead, and then we also find Spike. I have no clue how he got here, but he's here, so that's cool, I guess. Then I head out to find our gunsmith, because you know what's cooler than one gun? Multiple guns. I go to the bloke's hideout, expecting some buff dude with heaps of guns lying around, but instead, I find fucking Dumbledore and his students. But instead of making potions, he makes attachments for my 20-round freedom machine. One of the kids he's looking after is a diabetic, and this bloke can't even whip up some insulin. I'm starting to suspect that he isn't actually a wizard. You can't fool me though, Rupert. I'm way too smart for that. The thought of a poor innocent child not surviving because of a lack of medicine absolutely shatters my heart. So I decide to do what any real man would. and fuck off in search of another mission. We get back to Troy, and Savvy has broken through the radio jammer, and it turns out that the GRE have told the world that there is no one alive in the quarantine zone. But Troy has a plan to make a signal which tells the world that there are indeed still survivors. The urgency in Crane's voice shows how dire the situation is, and we will be lucky to make it out before they bomb the joint. So with that in mind, I decide to help the little girl with diabetes, because nothing says what a great human you are like forcing someone to stay alive while the threat of imminent perma-sleep via bombing runs inches closer. I get to a pharmacy and it's surrounded by half of Rice's entire army and 250,000 zombies. And yet, they are no match for my gigantic watermelon-sized nuts and my angry broomstick. You too can have watermelon-sized peanuts in your pants if you subscribe to the Cobb YouTube channel. I get into the pharmacy and as expected, there is no sign of insulin anywhere. So I make my way to the next pharmacy, and when I open the door, it sets off an alarm which I didn't realise you can just turn off. So, it quickly becomes COD zombies as I hold off wave after fucking wave of infected while searching for the insulin, and of course, there is none.
No insulin here.
When the zombies stop coming and I look at the piles of bodies that have amassed, I think to myself, why don't the GRE just give me 10,000 rounds of ammo, some Red Bulls, a felonious amount of meth, some human bait, and a couple of pairs of socks and undies, and I'll take on the entire zombie army right here in this fucking pharmacy. It would save them a lot of money and time doing this instead of bombing the entire city. I look on the computer and it turns out that the little girl's dad is the one who bought the last box of insulin. So we head to his apartment, which takes me a good 15 minutes to figure out how to get into. I looked around every nook and cranny of this place to find an entrance, until I find this stupid window which was hiding from me. I'm not fucking Albert Einstein, game. You can't be throwing things like that at me. Just give me a door to open and enter. I find a note that Papa Diabetes left and he was at a pizza place where he ultimately kicked the bucket and somehow managed to lodge the insulin under that succulent dad bod of his. We make it back to Dumbledore and the kid survives. Unlucky for Dumbledore and the gang, however, because we're about 40 minutes away from the entire city getting firebombed to Kingdom Come. After temporarily saving the kid's life, I find this dude who says he knows a guy who knows what the source of the epidemic is. His name is David, but he keeps calling him David, which is an absolute atrocity to anyone named David. And after looking at the objective, I have to find 3 shisha parts. Now, I'm no scientist myself, but how the fuck does something that you can use to smoke wacky tobacco help find the source of the epidemic? I find one of the shisha parts, and then in this shop, there's a fucking child who screams, and I choke the little cock out of existence, and then grab the shisha part. I head to David, and he's been captured by Rice's men. Lucky for him though, Big Daddy Cobb has come to the rescue. This dude survives this fall somehow, but it's nothing that a bullet can't fix. And then this one fakes surrendering like an absolute pussy, to which I respond with turning what little brain matter he had originally into multiple small pieces. We talk to David, and the bloke gives me nothing but some bullshit theory, and I know deep down that he just wanted a shisha. So I refuse to help him any further. Crane decides it's time to stop fucking around and save the lives of everyone left in the quarantine zone. I head into the sewers and meet Michael, who put himself in serious danger just so that he could have even the slightest chance with Troy. Talk about being desperate for even just a drop of pussy. You absolute manlet. Grow up and just tell her you want to get her on her back and have a little suckle of her toes, mate. It's not that hard. We grab the explosives and head up the elevator, which of course fails, and we're left to climb the rest of the way, which I do a great job at. Inside, there isn't much going on, but a few zombies chilling in a hallway that I need to be in. So I let them taste the bottom of my shoe and head into the apartment. There's a zombie here, but Crane can't differentiate between a wall and a zombie, and we almost get a very spicy hickey. We plant the explosive and head to the next apartment. I set it with ease, and then Michael calls us telling us he's in trouble. It's amazing the lengths a man will go, just for a sniff. I head upstairs to plant the other explosives and realise just how strong my shotgun is as I literally atomise a zombie with a single shot. I plant the explosive, and in the last room I find another screaming annoying dog of a child zombie, and then I'm quickly surrounded by dozens of zombies that still stand no chance against me and my big juggernaut. I find the kid and send him to meet the big man himself and plant the explosive. Michael is still in trouble, and we head back down to save him, but there's no sign of him anywhere. Poor fella definitely didn't make it, as there's zombies coming out the fucking wazoo in this joint, and only his detonator remains. We get out of the sewers and watch as we set the explosives off, which make a sad face. Then we get in contact with Jade, and she finally talks to me, but it's all for nothing, as the GRE blows the building up entirely. At least our goth mummy girlfriend wants to be in my life again for the few hours that we have remaining. And with that mission done, that's where we conclude this episode. Thanks for watching this far, and if you haven't already, like, comment what you enjoyed, and subscribe to the channel. Cheers legends, have a good one.